When you're ready to start writing queries, there's one thing you can do to open up the query window. We can go up to this new query button right here up at the top window, or we can press Control N and you end up with a new query window. Here's the line numbers I was talking about as we continue building more text on the query. Quickly, this is the database that we're working with, and we're going to be using the AdventureWorks. And we're going to come down to the tables, and these are all the tables that we'll be using. I'll be using table sales by territory. And this is a list of all the other tables that are available that we can do some querying on, and we will do that in the future, right, as things get a little bit more complicated as we add more tables to our query. Before I start writing the actual query itself, let's talk about adding comments. What you can do here is add two dashes, comment, and the reason why we do this is also so you can remember why you wrote a particular query, and when other people look at your code, they get an idea of exactly what you're trying to do. So we can also hit return, and we can make the comment a little bit more informative if we have to. And we can also have multiple line comments. So what we do for a multi-line comment, we go with a / asterisk, hit enter a few times, then enter a asterisk and a /. So anything I write between these two lines will be a comment. So let's see, showing sales info. That's a pretty more useful comment about the query that we're going to write and what it does. Quick note as well, as one of the new features as well, is what we call outlining when we create blocks of code. And what SQL Server does is actually recognizes those blocks of code and it makes it collapsible sections. And this is outlining. And we can actually turn this feature off and on. Just depends on what you like. I like it. It's very helpful, so I'll keep it there. And now we can finally get into writing queries properly. The most basic type of query you write in SQL is using a few keywords. The first one is called select, using all caps. It's completely case insensitive, but this is one of SQL's keywords. So yeah, as you can see, it's highlighted here in blue. Next keyword we're going to use, we'll hit return. And the next one we're going to use is the from keyword. And as you can see, this is normally where you would put your table. And as you will learn in the future, SQL or SQL Server reads the code from the table and then goes up to the select statement. So, what I would like to do with this from statement is refer to a particular table. Let's see. Just by typing in a letter, we get information based on some tables already present in the database. And as you can see, some of the database names here, and you can go and find that particular database as well. So what we can do, or what I am going to do, is I'm going to backspace right here for the time being. And what we can do is go up to this drop down menu and select the database that we want to use. And we'll go down to AdventureWorks. Now when we start, hit the S here and start looking for tables, it's going to present us with the tables already in this particular database. And here's the table I'm looking for right here, and that AdventureWorks database. And that's going to go there. And we'll simply put the asterisk here, and that's going to include all tables. And we'll just highlight that part there. And this is our basic SQL statement, and we'll go up and hit execute. And as you can see, this is the basic information in that particular table and showing here in our result sets. So that's a basic query in SQL. There we go. Alright, one way that we can associate a table to a database without necessarily clicking here on the AdventureWorks database is we'll go back to the master, and what we can do is type a keyword here. Let's use, oh, I took that away, put that back. Alright. And let's use, type in the keyword, use. And let's type in the database. Let's see. Well, they popped. This is the IntelliSense that we enabled on the database earlier. So since it's so long, I won't have to type it here. I'll just go down and select this particular database that we're going to use. And then we'll come down here. Another trick that we can do, instead of using IntelliSense to put the actual table name here, is we can take this out. Something that was not privy to earlier versions of SQL. And we can come down here and find the table, and we can actually drag and drop it. Alright, there we have it. As you notice, it adds a qualifier here, and this is just the schema information. It's not very important right now based on these basic statements that we're writing. We'll get into that a little bit later. And we'll highlight this here. And we'll execute. And as you can see, it still returns the same information. We just added the use keyword here, and we put the actual database that we're going to be using that has the tables that we're going to be using, and we selected all the columns in the table, and we use the cell by territory table. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add some columns. Alright, let's add some columns to the query. We'll go up and erase the asterisk here. And if we don't know the column names, we can simply come over here down where the table is and expand the table. And as you can see, we have a column name, sales territory, amount, and month. And let's just start with the first one. We'll just type S. And as you can see, IntelliSense is working. Okay, and there we have sales territory. We'll just go down here, double click, and normally you would separate your columns with a comma. Okay, we'll go into amount. And we'll separate that one as well with a comma. And we can also go over here and drag and drop. And you see those two different ways that we can add the fields to our query. And from there, all we would have to do is simply click execute. And we still have that same result set. And all we did there is just add our actual columns to the query instead of just the asterisk where we just select them all. Alright, let's say for example I just want to change one of the column names. Alright, let's make it simple for us. We'll hit return and put some space in between those so we can see exactly what's going on here. And we'll hit return one more time on there. Alright, let's say we want to change this instead of saying sales territory, maybe we want to just simply say sales. Let's type sales in caps. And since we just had a single word there, that will work. Let's go down to where it says amount. And let's say we want to add two words with a space in between. We'll call this total. And we'll say amount. Add that there. And we can I'll just enclose this in a bracket since we do have a space there. And this last column, we'll use the table alias, or what I would call also the column alias. And we can add the keyword as. And this is my preferred way of doing it. And we'll add a brackets here. We'll just add an S and call it once. Keep it simple. And brackets here. See, everything looks good, no errors. And we can simply execute again. And as you can see down here, our table rows changed where we identified our column names. Column is name changed to sales, total amount, and months. And that's just a simple way of how we would use aliases to change the name of our columns and rows that we may be trying to pull from the database.